In all honesty, my recipe changes every time I make it, but I've come up to a pretty good equation that I like. So, I've been making margaritas for a long time. So the way I learned was a true margarita, 3 simple ingredients: tequila, a Cointreau or a citrus liqueur, and lime. I've been tweaking it a little bit just because tastes have changed. So add a little bit of sweetener these days. It makes it more palatable for most friends. I like mine pretty bitter and strong, so I often don't make it with agave. So start by, I'm gonna get our limes prepped. I'll start with 2. So general mix I use is about, let's say, 1.5 parts tequila, and about 1 part lime juice, and about 1/2 part of citrus liqueur, and a splash of sweetener to your own taste. So I usually, because you don't know how much lime juice I'm going to make, I'm going to get out of a lime, I start with that, and then adjust everything else to that. Need a 3rd lime here.
Some of this from your Santa Barbara days, college days. Where'd all this margarita action come from?
I was never in Santa Barbara, but I did.
Oh, Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz, no. So my first margarita I'm watching when May was in Baja. I was down as 18 or 19 years old. We were down a fishing trip with my grandfather in the bar there. He made his, it was blended. It was, again, tequila, Cointreau, lime juice, and blended with ice. And then once I moved to Colorado was when I started playing with it. So I've got 1 full part of lime juice. So I'm gonna do, tequila choice today. This is one of my best go-to high quality but budget friendly tequila cazadores. It used to be kind of a hidden gem, but they got found out, so it's much more popular now. So that's 1. I'm gonna do 1.5 because I have 1 part lime juice there. So I'm gonna do about 1.5 tequila. Do 1/2 part liqueur. Usually my liqueur of choice is Cointreau or Grand Marnier. Those are the big names you find. I found this one, really like this one, at a local liquor store. Then I'm gonna add a splash of agave, just to cut a little bit of that bite, give a little bit of sweetness. All right, so the key.
I put a splash of orange juice in to take away the tartness. That's
Nice.
Expert tips from our new guest today. Thanks, Rich.
Right, so the key to margarita is to shake it with ice. And part of that is that the reason for that is some part dilution. So as you shake it, the nibs of the ice cube break off and melt pretty quickly, and actually dilutes it. So that's actually key to making margarita. So I'll give it a good shake. Shake it for quite a while. Again, you want that ice to actually break up a little bit. All right, so I've got 3 of us. There's 3 of us today. I've got my pour with the ice. We lost one ice cube there, so I'm add one here. Now, what I've been like lately, and this is not traditional, what I've enjoyed a lot recently, is a splash of tonic. And it gives it, again, a little more dilution and just a little bright fizz. This is probably frowned upon by many people, but I think it has a really nice lightness and brightness. That's it. And again, I usually just play it, I wing it almost every time. It's a little bit different, always tweaking it, but there it is.
Ayre Acoustics signature margarita.
Tonic Rita.
Tonic Rita, there you go.
Well, welcome to the first installment of Margaritas with Ayre. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everyone. Cheers. We've got a very special guest here with us today. This is our good friend, Rich Danielson of QSC Systems, probably a good 10-15 minute drive away from us up here in Longmont. And Rich helps us with so many things. He's the manager for our board house. Rich, why don't you introduce yourself to our friends and tell our friends what you do and who you are with QSC Systems.
QSC is a contract manufacturer, and we do everything from printed circuit board assembly to cable harnesses and full box belts. So do a lot what people aren't large enough to send it off to China.
Yeah, so you've been partnering with us for
28 years.
28 years now. Yeah, so I think, which is maybe just about a year longer than I've been here. So you've been involved there longer than I have.
Which is one of the big reasons why we trust working with QSC Systems so much. They know our stuff inside and out. They know what we need, and it speeds everything up when you work with somebody who's so intimately connected with the product. And QSC handles a lot of audio industry circuits out there, but we're probably one of the longest running audio companies that you've partnered with.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so you knew Charlie pretty well then, I'm guessing, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
You got any fun Charlie stories from when you first kind of started working with Ayre at all?
I just remember the days when companies were smaller and things were more on an intimate level, and you knew people personally better, and so I would always get invited to the Ayre Christmas party, and which was always nice.
Yeah. We several times would go out for margaritas after work.
Yeah,
We had some get-togethers, I remember.
a lot of that. Even there's still some vendors that I go out and have drinks with. There's customer relationships were different 25 years ago.
Right.
Everything was face to face or on the phone. Now there's so much impersonalist with emails, and now people are even using text for work.
Guilty. I text a lot.
Well, I mean, just send a picture. It's so much easier just on your phone. Just send it off to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can get responses way faster that way, as opposed to an email, wait for someone to get it,
Or
compose an email. Yeah, if it's
put it
just
around
a
at your
real,
desk, right?
exactly.
I mean, when we run into a problem with you, it's like I can just call you directly.
Yeah.
Help.
Yeah, so anyway, we're drinking margaritas today. Not our usual
It's Cinco de Mayo.
pints, but yeah, since it's Cinco de Mayo. And we have a history of drinking margaritas with Rich, so it was timely. So here we are.
I was counting down the Cinco de Mayo episode right when we finished the St. Patty's Day episode. So I was looking forward to this. So QSC has a lot of cool machinery there, huh? Like you've just got added some new stuff to your
New
fleet.
pick and place.
Yeah. Why don't you talk about some of that stuff? Because I know a lot of our viewers probably appreciate a lot of the manufacturing technology that goes into what you guys do.
It's almost like you don't touch the parts anymore.
Right.
Except for
Yeah. So yeah. So just, because I'm sure a lot of viewers don't even necessarily know the entire process. And so to go over kind of high level first, traditionally at Ayre, we would assemble a kit where we would get raw circuit board and all the parts that we design into it, and we would send Rich QSC a box with all the parts to assemble the board. And so whether that's surface mount or through hole, and so Rich would get it, you'd audit it, make sure all the parts were there, make sure enough were there, make sure the right parts were there that matched the BOM. The BOM is the bill of materials. And then the actual assembly process usually starts with surface mount, where there's a stencil and solder paste, where you lay down using the stencil solder paste on just the surface mount pads. You have machinery or hand place, but usually machinery to then place those teeny surface mount parts into their correct spots.
So the parts all come on reels
Right.
or in tubes for some ICs, or the larger parts come in trays.
Yeah. So once all those placed, then you have specialized ovens to then heat up
Solder paste.
that whole assembly and melt the solder paste and create the solder joints. And then is there any kind of is there a intermediate inspection after that point?
Yeah, we do what's called an AOI, automated optical inspection. So that it literally looks at every part on the board, and it can't read, but it programs, so if you have writing on the part, it can tell if it's reading the part correctly.
Right.
Yeah.
Or that it's there in the first place,
Right.
that is there where it's supposed to be or not supposed to be.
And if you have a black resistor where it's supposed to be a purple one, it'll catch that. We can also put orientation marks into the program, so it's looking to make sure a part is orientated correctly. But our new AOI is actually 3D, so it looks at the side angle also, which is good at checking the solder joints. Make sure the part's laying flat, it's not what we call a head and pillow or tombstone, things like that, yeah.
And then, so then after surface mount's done, then if there are through hole parts, which almost all of our boards will always have surface mount parts, either some connectors or resistors depending on the board. And then most of the through hole parts are almost always hand placed at this point,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I'm sure that automated placement of through hole is much riskier and much harder to accomplish.
Before surface mount, there was huge machines that would take up 5,000 square feet, order huge through hole part reels in it. But that's when the parts were big, where you could actually see them. But our machines will place parts down to a 105, which is
05, yeah.
size of your hair, basically.
Yeah, that's like a speck of salt. Yeah. So you hand stuff through hole parts, and then typically that would then go over. The soldering process is then automated, either a wave or a selective solder.
And we use a selective solder on boards that have two-sided surface mount parts.
Right.
So when you go over wave, you're gonna solder the entire bottom of the board. And the selective solder will just go to the leads of the components and not solder the surface mount parts that are already there. But then your boards have boards that are on the edge of the board that have to be perfectly straight and flush. So those all get hand soldered as a secondary operation.
Right.
Very cool. And you have like X-ray machines too that inspect everything as well.
We
right?
inspect 100% of the BGAs and the QFNs, which are parts that have packages, have leads under the part which you can't see.
Right.
We actually find BGAs easier to put down with less rework than a QF key.
Okay.
The QFPs have got so tight as far as their lead spacing,
Yeah.
they just want a bridge.
Yeah, the bridge really easily. Yeah.
Yeah, all this is super important for us because I mean, for one of our boards as an example, the EX8 has I think close to 1,000, not
Yes.
quite 1,000 parts, but close to 1,000 parts that go on the circuit itself. And so having Rich and QSC help us get most of that taken care of cuts production time down for us quite a lot. Otherwise, it would take us a much longer time to do each independent circuit. So it's amazing technology that we have with you guys. How has your approach changed over the years? Has there been some tips and tricks and things along the way that have vastly changed how you do things? Like any aha moments that you can think of that?
Well, the parts have gotten smaller and the packages have gotten tighter, and you used to work on big real estate. You don't really have real estate issues like a lot of
Yeah, we're not as
customers do.
yeah, we're not as constrained, as like somebody trying to pack things into cell phones now or anything like that. So
Right.
we have less constraints that way. Yeah.
And we're working on a rework on a Seagate board, which is a hard drive board. And the amount of parts they stuff into a tiny little board is crazy. So the size is critical, but every time there's a part, it keeps getting smaller and smaller, so you can't even get the bigger ones anymore. So even you guys are forced to use the new technology of
Sometimes.
parts in the footprint because the other one's not even there. But I mean, that's probably the biggest thing. But the change from leaded solder to lead-free solder in the mid 2000s was a big deal on our end because the melting point's much higher. So we had to get
Right.
new ovens and had to retrain everybody. You don't get the spread on the pads like you used to, and your solder joints aren't as bright as the old leaded solder.
Well, if you need a hookup on some leaded solder, I think we know where we can get some.
You can talk about these guys.
Oh yeah. Well, so so you do audio, but what are some other industries that you guys cover there? Just to kind of give some examples.
If you're allowed to say.
If you other industries,
I mean, we make some equipment for nuclear radiation detection, do a lot of scientific instrumentation.
Hard drives, 100%.
Yeah, hard drive.
Yeah, I'm gonna think,
The reason why I ask is because you do all these other industries, you also do audio, but one thing I thought would be really fun to kind of highlight is that you are into hi-fi, you are into music, you're very much into music.
have some of your equipment, yeah.
Yeah, Rich uses some of our stuff in his setup at home, but I just think it's awesome that you're like Rich is a Samantha Fish super fan. I have to put him on the spot because he loves music so much that and certain artists that he travels to go and see them.
Larkin Poe's my favorite.
Larkin Poe is the favorite. Sorry. Yeah, Larkin Poe.
I'll only see Samantha 3 times this year.
Oh, only 3 times this year. That's cool. And you've got some shows coming up, it sounded like too, huh?
Yeah. I saw her in Kenny Wayne Shepherd in Florida back in February.
Oh, that.
I'm going to the Flagstaff Blues Festival and then Blues Show on the top in Winter Park, Colorado, both in June. So.
That would be fun. Maybe we need to make a field trip here. Yeah.
The record company's playing up there.
Well, I just think it's cool that you run such a high-tech operation. You work with numerous industries, but first and foremost, you're very much a hi-fi guy and into music. And so I think that's awesome for us to have that.
It makes it more fun dealing with product that you enjoy.
I think you mean putting up with us. I think that's what you mean.
Yeah, no, that's I think that's an important element to it. But so, no. Well, yeah, I mean, the advantage that we have working with you guys has been tremendous. We definitely look forward to keeping that going and evolving and keeping our workflow with you guys, and I've appreciated everything you've ever done for us. You rock, Rich.
It's nice having customers local.
That's same here. Because again that that whole kind of quality control side of it. Being able to, like, if you have a question or an issue, I can again 10 minutes and I can be at your shop and I can check it out, confirm or verify. stuffing issues, whatever it is. And likewise, like whenever we have a problem, it's really easy to then give feedback and get things corrected. I think it's critical to have an efficient quality process. It's fantastic.
We have some bigger customers that actually make their assemblies in Mexico, but they still use us for their prototypes and dealing with a local company. There's really a lot to be said about that.
Well, yeah, we get a lot of FaceTime. We get the ability to talk about what we're working on a lot and kind of continually refine and perfect the process. And yeah, and then just Ariel being able to drive right over to you guys to check the first few of any given big order before we accept it all for that quality control has also been a big advantage for us. We try to work local as much as possible. Try to work local.
Not as easy as it used to be, but
Yeah, for sure. There's fewer and fewer options.
for most industries, really.
So you're a super fan of Larkin Poe and Samantha Fish. You're a big hi-fi guy. You've been doing this for a long time. What else do you do that is not in your QSC circle? What's another hobby of Rich's that tells us about his personality? I have to know.
Oh, back in the day was climbing all the 14ers in Colorado. So
Yeah,
Do you actually hit them all?
I didn't get them.
Oh, okay.
there's still time.
Got- But I used to be a big skier too. That was my passion. Played a lot of sports in my day. So
Yeah.
Well, speaking of sports, Ariel's a big soccer fan, and you might see a nice shiner on Ariel on that perspective.
It's not mascara.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I went to kind of a gothic industrial dance party last night, but Ariel he got headbutt at soccer, so that's where that's coming from. We don't have a fight club or anything quite yet. Yeah. So, and we're coming at you live in our makeshift podcast studio that we've been working on for a while. We're flanked by Charlie's Records behind us, and yeah, we're surrounded by probably hundreds and hundreds of Charlie's Records right now, and so this room is going to get vibed out really cool very soon here, and we're trying to make this space a lot better. But we figured this would be a great opportunity to come at you guys from our space for the first time today. Yeah, I've got I'm running out of questions for Rich here.
yeah, I thought I had a lot more, but I'm blanking on right now.
I want to look at all the albums.
Well, yeah, and part of Rich's consolation is that he gets to pick a couple records to bring with him today, so he gets to take home some of Charlie's records with him. And, we'll have him back again, have some more margaritas, and continue this conversation with Rich. But I thought it would be nice and kind of important for people to know how Rich helps us and how much of an advantage we got by working so close to home.
Yeah, the other thing I've been trying, with previous manager, I've been trying to push for, and we'll try to do pretty soon is, if you'll accept us, is like I want to get basically the whole company to take a field trip to any of our local vendors, including you guys. I want everyone who works here to visit and see what happens at QSC or Metal Shop or somewhere else. Like I want them to see how it works, what goes on there, what any of the any of the issues you guys see, how that affects us, and vice versa. I want them to know everything that goes into the products we build. So I want to bring everybody for a reference.
It's funny you said that. I just came from a company over off of 30th that they make automatic transfer switches. And the owner and the president of that company asked the same thing. Exactly. I want to bring my crew up there. He said, we're going to take you guys all up to Georgia, boys.
No. Yeah, get some barbecue. That'd be fun. That'd be fun. And we'll have to continue and reignite the old days of Ayre and QSC margarita parties. Like,
yeah. We come up. Maybe we'll take. Hopefully, maybe the pick and place machine we're running, we can take some quick snips showing the amazing speed and amazing complexity of pick and place while we're there. Yeah, would love to get that on film, because that's a really neat process.
For someone that's not familiar with it.
Yeah.
Kind of very impressive.
So, all right, well, I think that's all.
Well, I think I need another serving here. This was quite an amazing margarita. I'm not typically a margarita person, but
You really didn't even taste honey.
Yeah, as long as you don't put too much. Again, it's just a splash. It just brightens it up a little bit, cuts that harshness a little bit. Yeah, I haven't seen that done elsewhere, but I like it.
You didn't put soda water.
Yeah,
You didn't want the extra
Yeah.
sweetness from the top.
yeah, there was sweetness or a little bitterness. Yeah, just to let that little kind of bubbly fizz a little bit, just lightens it up.
You can't shake
You can, but I don't recommend it.
it.
I did once.
well, I hope you guys enjoyed our recipe at the beginning of the episode there too. You should definitely partake with us on this Cinco de Mayo on our Ayre signature margarita. And next week, we'll be back at you with another pint. But until then, thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, Rich. Thank you for
Thank you
coming
for
by.
having me.
Our first honorary guest at Ayre Studios. We'll call it Ayre Studios for now. Okay. All right.